Hello, welcome back to the Fangirl Fantasy Podcast. I am Julie Russell, and today's guest is Jaime Bilotti. Hello.
Hi, thank you
How,
so much for having me.
Thank you for coming on. I'm super excited to talk today. You are the founder of Fan to Band.
Yes, I am. That's me.
Can you give us a little detail on what Fan to Band is?
Yeah, so Fan to Band is an entertainment company that specializes in giving fans amazing credit for what they do, and we highlight them on one aspect. And then on the other end, we use all the data, the insight, and the one on one personal feedback that we collect to then work along artist teams to create better and more effective campaigns. There's just no reason to guess what fans are thinking anymore.
So when you say giving credit to the fans and what they do, what do you mean?
Yeah, so, throughout my career and just like my life of being a fan, I've been a fan of the fans, whether they're graphic designers, they have amazing opinions, they go in the streets and actually promote the artist, get them their first radio spin, whatever it may be. I've been a front row seat to seeing all these fans do amazing things that I realize that they don't know are the same things that people within management and labels are doing. And they do it just out of their love of the artist. And the artist wouldn't be there without those fans. So we do our best to not only give them the credit, but also kind of vet for them to the artist teams that you should have a fan in the room at all times.
Definitely, I completely agree with that. How did you come up with this concept of Fan to Band?
Yeah, so throughout my internships, I was so lucky to have amazing supervisors. I talk to them to this day and I look up to them as always. But within radio at a label, I had an amazing boss named Leslie. I probably hype her up more than I hype up anyone. And she gave me the opportunity to intern with her. And the entire interview was just talking about a band that I liked during the time called Why Don't We? And it was great to kind of bond with someone just through the love of music. And she gave me some great advice that if you got the interview, you're qualified. And now it's just about personality. So it was great to find fans within the music industry. Throughout that semester, she taught me so much. But the one thing I found was that I was being asked questions about that band because they knew I was a fan. And while being asked those questions, you kind of see that stigma, not there, but in other places where it's kind of frowned upon to be a fan within the music industry, when really I didn't understand why anyone else would get started. So I ended up meeting a group of super fans at Why Don't We's Radio City show. And that was the first time I said out loud to a group of fans in January of 2019, I'm going to start this company and it's called Fan to Band. And I really would like to start some focus groups. And from there, it just took off.
So have you worked on any projects with artists, right? Like since you've started your company?
Yeah, so basically, what happened since January of 2019 was I continued interning. I also played soccer in college and, tried to go to as many concerts as possible. So I didn't really get to focus on Fan to Band too much. It was more so a concept. I trademarked it that day. And my supervisors were always like, you should start it. You should start it. They're my number one fans as well. And when I graduated within a pandemic this May, I found myself with nothing to do when my remote internship ended. I graduated on my front lawn. So I sat down and I said, all right, I'm going to start this Fan to Band thing up. And basically, since then, a lot of introductory calls, a lot of meeting with fans. Right now, we're working with some smaller artists, gathering insight, working with them along their campaigns. But 2021 is going to be an exciting year to kind of tease what we have coming. But what's interesting about your question about working with the artists, the fans have come to us, whether it be for streaming parties or promo stuff, and they needed a place to start, whether it be make assets, organize it. They need a Zoom room that holds more than 10 people, and we've been able to do that for them. So it's been really exciting.
That's amazing. Yeah, you're working directly with the fans. Are you working with every single different like fandom? Like, are you kind of picking and choosing? Are you guys focusing on a certain genre? How do you guys handle that?
Yeah, so far we're really pop saturated just because those were the first bands that kind of came to us and that we've met throughout our experiences. But going into 2021, we really, really want to branch out into any and all kinds of fandoms. I'm so respectful of all the different kinds of fandoms that I can't sit here and tell you I'm a number one fan of every single person, genre, and artist on this planet because that's not true. But what we try to do is have someone on our team who is. So if I can't relate to it, someone else on our team can, and so on. What's really interesting in the past 6 months, I've been trying to educate myself on K-pop,
Oh,
which
me and
I
you both.
yeah, I feel like it's gonna take me like a solid like 5 years to do so, but hearing from their passionate fans, they are so talented and dedicated that makes me want to learn even more and just always be there if they ever need help with anything. So that's a huge goal of 2021, as well as R&B, rap, hip hop. Those fans are awesome. I'm, a fan of every kind of music in that genre. So yeah, we got a lot going on.
What is the band or the artist or celebrity that kind of launched you into being a fan, like a fangirl? Like, what was the first show that you went to, the first, album you listened to? Do you have one of those?
Yeah, yeah. So concerts specifically, because I was always going to soccer tournaments or just really school involved, I never got the chance to go to a ton of concerts. So really my first one was when I was 16 for my friend's birthday for Katy Perry. And I remember just being absolutely mind blown. Like this is what I've been missing. But before that, because I didn't get to go to all the concerts, the online fan presence was so important to me. And I loved the Jonas Brothers. I'm so guilty. I literally called my friend before this, Jesse, and I was like, so were you a Nick person? Or I was like, I know Joe was my favorite back in the
Hmm.
day, but I don't know, I'm switching a little. We'll see. And then also, I'm very guilty of loving One Direction. When I found out and started becoming fans of One Direction, I started like diving in who are their songwriters, like who were the producers. When the This Is Us doc came out, I was like, wait a second, this is amazing. So yeah, I would say Jonas Brothers, One Direction, anything on Disney Channel, all around crazy times.
And were you just always like on YouTube looking up the interviews and watching and streaming and all of that good stuff?
Yes, I am a huge interview nerd. To this day, once there were interviews on YouTube, there were no going back for me. I swear to you, like clockwork, coming home from school every single day. My friend Jessie and she's kind of like my music person that's not involved in the industry at all.
Hmm.
We would come home and watch like One Direction interviews or the behind the scenes of Camp Rock. I remember being like, Mom, can we please go to where this was recorded? And it was
To
just
Canada.
yeah. And I'm from New York. Mom's like, no, we're not going to Canada. I was like, okay. So, yeah, it was just crazy times.
And I know we have talked before prior. We've had some conversations about working together, and I know, you've had a cool like Shawn Mendes idea and these projects. Do you come up with these ideas by yourself, or is it like kind of like you sit down, you have weekly meetings with the team, and you kind of just like open the floor up for your team to discuss, or do you go in with ideas hoping, you're gonna just like trickle off? Like how does your team work in strategy wise and
Yeah.
coming up with these ideas?
Yeah, I think what's so unique about our company is that there could be other companies out there who are digital marketing geniuses, but the difference is they make campaigns off of what they think fans want, not off of what fans are actually saying they want. And it's this unique balance of not giving fans everything they're saying they want, but finding out what they don't even know that they want yet. Like they don't know what they need yet and giving them that. Like there's so many amazing examples, but recently, before folklore, when you didn't even know you needed a new Taylor Swift album,
Mhm.
it's not on your brain, and then you're like, yes, I absolutely needed this.
And now we're getting two. Now we're
Now
getting
we're
two
getting
Taylor Swift
two,
albums in
yeah.
a pandemic,
My
which is incredible.
Yeah, I just feel like I need to process that for like 3 hours and then just come back and prepare myself. But in terms of the way that we work, I always have ideas, of course. But the first part about leading is understanding that you don't know everything, especially when it comes to dealing with fans. So what we do is our team brings ideas to us. We have our fan engagement team that goes out and looks for fans who need help, have amazing ideas across all the social platforms because COVID can actually go in the streets right now or to concerts. And then we also have our virtual street team, which is a Facebook group full of people, about 60 right now. Who are fans first and foremost, might not have all the time to dedicate themselves to fan projects, but started off because they're fans and they just want a community to contribute ideas to. We've pulled giveaway ideas from that. The Streamathon was in partnership for Why Don't We? We did a Fallen Streamathon that was actually trending on Twitter. It was amazing. I give all the credit to their fans for that. We're just here to help make it happen. So it really depends. It could come from us directly or it could come from them. And
So
either way,
you've
yeah, they get
mentioned
the credit.
you've mentioned Why Don't We a few times. Are they like your number one? Like if you got to like sit down with our marketing team and sit with them, would that be like kind of like your dream partnership?
I feel like a better way for me to describe how I feel about Why Don't We? Their band is amazing. Like I am a fan of them, but I'm not as diehard as like if I sat down with the Jonas Brothers teams. I am a fan of their fans.
Understood. Yep.
If that makes sense. I just feel like after getting the opportunity to meet their fans and really hear from them about their personal experiences and why they love them, it's just such a genuine connection that I know they're really lucky to have such an established fan base. So if there was a term to be a fan of fans and we ever found that, that would be me.
So I mean, I'm gonna kind of rate the fandoms just, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. And obviously, there's not
Yeah.
even a correct answer. I think K-pop fans are probably number one on whether like creating a like strategy for release, getting a single on the radio. I just think they do have an army, BTS. I think their
Yeah.
fans are probably number one. Who do you think follows? Like, who do you think besides the? I mean, I still think One Direction, if they came back together, their fan
Yeah.
base would take over. From because they'd have the newer fans that are fans of people them from their solo stuff. Then
Yeah.
they also have the people that followed them throughout their whole career. So I do think if One Direction came back, they would just take over
I would
again.
say Harry Styles fans number two, easy, because they are some talented people, and when they like have an idea, they run with it, and it's great to see how outspoken Harry Styles is. Just really pointing to that and pointing to how awesome his fan base is. For lack of a better term, they're a lot of designers within that fan base, highly saturated with amazing people with high fashion skills. Their marketing is like untouched. It's so great to see, and I genuinely do not think I've ever met someone who was like Harry Styles, not my cup of tea. Like I don't
I
think I've met
agree.
anyone.
I agree. Doesn't matter who it is, age, gender, race. Everybody
Yeah,
loves
everyone's like
Harry
Harry
Styles.
Styles. Yes.
No, and then do you have a third? Do you have like a number three?
I would say Taylor Swift fans are a different kind of fans. Taylor Swift, Justin Bieber, and then also,
Ariana Grande too.
oh yeah, oh my gosh, Ariana Grande. Yeah, they're all kind of seeing how they're like mutuals with each other is super unique and just fun to witness. I would say they're obviously like the pop genre is huge, but the difference between all of them is that Justin Bieber specifically is cool to see how there's fans from when he was 12 and now they're growing up with him to the new fans who weren't even born when that happened, and now they're
Yeah.
hopping on the train. So seeing how that mixes together is a whole thing to figure out within itself. And then same thing with Taylor Swift. People are now falling in love with her who didn't even know her music back then, and she's really opening up to like allow that community to grow, which is exciting. And then Ariana Grande is just like, I don't think there are proper terms to describe how much of a queen she is,
I know.
but her fans are diehard, like die, and I
I feel
respect
like if there's
them.
a single tweet out there in the universe that says anything negative about Ariana Grande, her fans are going to find it. And they
Oh,
are
oh
going to
yeah,
tell you why you're wrong, and
Yeah.
it's
And
funny because
their reasons are strong. Like they
they're
should be
valid. I agree.
lawyers.
I mean, there's no reason to ever, hate on Ariana Grande, but it's just funny. I'll like click on a Twitter thread and it might not even have anything to do with Ariana. And they're just in there
Yeah.
too, like stream this, stream Sweetener, stream, you know what I mean? And they're just like, watch, she has a new Netflix doc coming out. It's just so funny
Yeah.
because
That
it's like an underrated fan base, I would say.
yeah,
But
I
it's so
think so as
strong.
well. Because when she's a, because of the fact that she's a household name, I know a lot of fans kind of struggle with the fact when they first found her, like the artist is kind of just yours and it's a smaller community. And then when it does get to that such a large scale, it can be hard to feel as connected with that artist, especially when they're as big as Ariana Grande. But I feel like she does such a good job at promoting everything she does that her fans do feel connected. But yeah, I would definitely say people assume, oh, if Ariana Grande put out White Noise, like she would go to number one of the album. So
Agreed.
yeah, so her fans don't always get all that credit they deserve because they're the ones pushing it.
Yeah, I think it's also Ariana started also in Nickelodeon, and she was
Yeah,
super young. Her fan base was super young, and then she went to Broadway. And I just remember there was a time frame. I want to say 2013, and she was dating Jay Janoskian,
yeah,
and I just remember so vaguely. And it was like when she was on the come up. She was like her
hmm,
music career, and then she had and the Janoskians were pretty big at the time. And there was like paparazzi videos every single day of just outside of her apartment. And I like for me, I just remember that's kind of like 2013 is like when Ariana like was Ariana Grande, she's away from the
yeah,
Nickelodeon and she's now in this she's a pop star, and it's just I just remember so vividly on Twitter just all of like people just meeting Ariana Grande outside of her apartment, this,
yeah,
getting mobbed. It's just crazy. Yeah. I just think her fans are super underrated and they
yeah.
are
I literally it's crazy to think that back then I was going through the same thing as you, like seeing all this happen, or why, not even really knowing the answer to like why do I care so much that she blew up, or why do I care so much about Camp Rock, or that this is where Joe Jonas went to lunch this day, like this, that, and the other thing. It's crazy to see how it actually turns into a career, because many people before have told me, this is not my quote, but they've said there's been no blueprint for this, to be a fan in the industry. And I'm so grateful to be a part of that move, because just like streaming blew up, I really do think that fan engagement is the next big thing, because people don't just want music that you can dance to and just enjoy. They want to know the story behind it. And whatever reason it is why you're a fan, you deserve the credit that you are one. So I'm excited.
I also think, coming out of this pandemic, hopefully next year with touring and whenever it's safe to do so, I think the artists that are gonna, 'cause I think there's gonna be about 400 different tours going on at a time,
Yeah,
and of major artists, and they could be in town at the same time, or you got to kind of pick and choose who you're gonna spend your money to go see
exactly.
on tour. What if Justin Bieber and Ariana, they're not going to because, they're in the same management, but just
Yeah,
say like they're in town at the same time, like, on tour and this and that. It's like, who are you going to go pick and see? And it's like, you got to kind of decide who the fans, who's better
mhm,
engaging with their fans, like what part of the show is more, like giving more. And I think
yeah,
these artists going into touring when it's safe to do so kind of need to turn it up a little bit
yep,
and for the fans because it is going to be way tougher competition even more than it ever was in the music industry because there's unfortunately venues have closed for these
yeah,
smaller venues for these smaller artists that I don't know. And I think that also like these bigger artists, they'll go down to smaller tours if that's what they have, like venues if they have to. And then that bumps the smaller artists. So I think it's going to be really it needs to be focused on fans and what they're giving them and the experience on these tours. And I'm really interested to see who catches on to that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that during these times, artists have had to get so creative. And, now that we're at the back end, hopefully, of this pandemic, you start to see that certain things like live streams or, virtual concert experiences or virtual meet and greets are going to probably start to survive in the real world as well. Because, like you said, competition is competition and they're going to have to get creative. And it's the risk factor of guessing what fans want anymore is just not worth it, especially when you don't have to. As an intern, I was thrown into rooms with all my fellow interns that I still speak to today. And you're asked the ultimate question, like, what's new? Like, do you guys like albums? Do you like singles? Like, what's cancel culture? Why is no one buying the merch? And, you want to have the right answers because these are people you look up to. They're the jobs that you want to have one day. But truthfully, what I've learned is there is no one answer. It's extremely hyper specific to each fandom, and then within one fandom, there's 100 different kind of characteristics, and it's just within the new kind of touring world that you're featuring to. There's just you can't guess anymore. You have to know, and who better to ask than the fans?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think also there's so many different ways they can do it. There's polls on Twitter. There's
Yeah,
forums on websites they can do.
they can
Yeah,
come join our focus groups if they want. We're always open.
yeah. So I'm interested to see what touring is going to be like because I do think they need to figure it out, and they got to figure out. We got to be the one of the first or in few to figure it out quickly. I mean, I
Exactly.
think Taylor Swift, if she goes on tour, she'll be one of the few that will hit it out of the ballpark like she always does on her
Yeah.
tours. And she's obviously not really one that's going to be struggling. I mean, she's also given us two albums in a pandemic.
Yeah. If her struggle is going to be picking which songs to perform, definitely.
We didn't even get Lover
I
or
know.
anything. So like we're gonna have three albums from her. We're gonna need three tours.
Yeah. I mean, I would expect nothing less. I mean, if they have to double the amount of time, I will definitely be there.
Exactly. So you said you unfortunately like because of your busy schedule never got to go to a ton of concerts. We're obviously in a
Hmm.
pandemic. What is like the few concerts that, like when we're out of this that you're like, I'm going to be there and I'm going to do whatever I need to do to get there? Like, what are those three concerts that you're really looking forward to when this is all over?
That is such a hard question. I mean, after I was 16, I got to go to like a decent amount of concerts just because I was interning and I had amazing bosses who helped me get there. But I really want to see Youngblood live. I swear everyone on our team has been talking about him nonstop. He really describes his artistry like 50% him, 50% his fans. And it really does come across in his live shows. Although I've never gone to see him. I saw his virtual concert recently and it just left me wanting more. And I was like, oh my goodness, I need to go see him live. I never saw Shawn Mendes live, and I'm kicking myself to this day because I was supposed to go last year. Well, yeah, in the summer. But I had a soccer game and whatever I do, I'm extremely dedicated to. And, I wasn't working. It was just I was going for fun. And thank God we ended up winning the championship because if we didn't, I don't think I could have thought of a reason why I missed that concert. So I need to see him live.
Did you watch his
100.
documentary for Wonder?
Of course, of course. I think it gave like a really great insight to like his process, his writing process. And like I said before, I'm a nerd when it comes to interviews, so I live for that stuff. Like, give me a good music documentary and I'm set. Like, that's all I need.
Yeah, I think it was very well done.
Yeah, and I would say my third. Oh my gosh, it's hard picking only three. This is kind of like different, but I really want to see Roddy Rich live, like really bad, because
Interesting.
when I was interning over at Atlantic, my boss was a big fan of his, and they were working, his stuff, and I really got into it so that when I started interning remotely from my house, I would just blast Roddy Rich and just get my work done. So he got me through a rough time. So I would love to see him live. I love his songs, and I've heard he really puts on a great show.
I saw him last year in Boston. No shade to him, but he showed up like 45 minutes late, like from like
Uh,
when he was supposed to perform. He like was at the
oh my
Celtics game and then
gosh.
came over.
Yeah, and that's literally crazy. I swear to you. And that's the type of thing, like their team should know that from fans, from people going to the show, because you only get more effective from that feedback. We really do carry that with our community. We're never here to say like what I say is the best. Like by no means is that true. If someone can develop a better idea and the only thing you have to do is give them the chance to say so or just hear them out, that's the foundation of our company, because if nobody ever heard me out, I would not be where I am today.
It's so accurate. And you also gave yourself your own platform. You didn't wait for anyone to do it. You graduated and you took things into your own hands, which is great. So
Thank you.
we're heading into the end of the year. How are you guys wrapping up 2020? Any big projects coming up? Anything exciting? Or are you guys kind of holding off on the big stuff for 2021?
Yeah, so we're really holding all of the big stuff for 2021. We have all these great introductions with labels and management and artist direct deals that, our goal is that we can, take over and give fans as much of a voice as we can. But for this year, we're really excited to be rebranding pretty soon. We're keeping our colors and really making our socials the ultimate Stan account, but for the fans. So that's pretty big. We got some big giveaways coming up soon. So we're really excited for that more towards the end of 2020. And yeah, we're looking to bring on a few more people to our team going into 2021. And we have master plans of reaching out our program to colleges and specific fandoms. And the number one thing I'm excited about is all the partnerships that are going to come out of 2021, because when you're in the music industry, at least when I was in person, I didn't really see that other people started in this industry because they were fans, or I didn't get to meet the kind of people that I listen to on your podcast every week. And every time I'm listening and I'm networking every week, I'm like, this is so relevant that it's just going to blow up. So we're excited to take advantage of that and really collaborate as much as we can.
When you say you guys have like the giveaways coming up, are they like giveaways that you're partnered with, like with a label or with a management firm, or how do you do giveaways?
Yeah, so some of them in the beginning, it was just fans who wanted specific items that wouldn't have the chance to get that otherwise. So we would pick and, fund it as a company from there. Some we've had in partnership with some artists, but mostly it's through outside sponsors who see the need for fans who are wanting merch or tickets and all that stuff. So mainly right now funding it as a company, but the way we do it, which is awesome too. We had a fan DM us like a whole rollout plan for a Billie Eilish giveaway, like update accounts, who we should reach out to, what we should give away, when we should do it. And we're like, okay, we'll do it. Here's the credit, put her name on the assets, post it. So we're really grateful to be able to bring fan ideas alive as a company.
That's amazing. Yeah, I know. I love that. And I love that they feel like they can DM you their ideas,
Yeah,
knowing that they'll get
anyone
some
can
credit.
DM us. Yeah,
That's
I'm here.
amazing.
I'm answering.
Well, I'm super excited and I'm excited to work together, hopefully in the future, some more
Yes.
and collaborating with Fan to Man and Fangirl Fantasy. So, do you have
Yes.
your social media you can plug for everybody to go check you guys out and
Yeah.
so they can get involved?
Yeah, everyone go follow us at Fan to Band with two D's at the end on both TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you ever want to join our virtual street team, send me a DM on Instagram and I can add you there too. And just to let you know, I'm a huge fan of Fangirl Fantasy, and you're definitely bringing a community together. So I commend you for all that great stuff.
I appreciate it. You have been super supportive since, we've figured each other out. We figure out each other's companies, and I've gotten some super nice DMs of you passing along the word about the podcast. So I really
Yeah.
appreciate that. I love the support, and I'm here. The Fangirl Fantasy team is here and help for whatever we can with Fan to Man. And like I said, I'm really looking forward to working together in the future.
Me too. And I swear to you, I don't even say it just because I'm excited for the partnering up because I'm so excited for that. But I genuinely listen as a fan, and on our meetings on like Wednesday, I'm like, hey guys, did anyone listen to the podcast? Or I'm like talking to someone going over their resume or cover letter that they need help with. I'm like, you should really listen to this podcast. And then someone yesterday too was like, oh yeah, events and fans. I'm looking to get into something. This girl, Lauren, on our team who is so sick. I'm like, you know what? Fangirl fantasy.
That's
So it's
awesome.
definitely all over the place.
Well,
We
they all
love it.
better be listening to your episode when this comes out.
Yeah, don't worry. They're getting the link when it comes out.
You better quiz them to make sure they're not lying to you.
Yeah, we'll come up with a little sheet. Did you actually listen to Jamie's podcast?
Well, again, thank you so much for coming on. I'm looking forward to the future of Fan to Man. Thank you for everyone to listening to another Fangirl Fantasy episode. You can check us out at fangirlfantasy.com and follow us on Instagram, fangirl__fantasy. Thank you all very much.